All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Star Button Live. This is a safe haven for geeks, nerds, weebs, dweebs, lurds, and gamers. I'm your host tonight, King Anarchy, and here with us I have Raijin, I
What
have
up?
Hustle, I have Time, and of course in the background we have Mr. Loom. We apologize that if we didn't, post that we were going live, but here we are. Glad you're here with us today. And I think that today we all have kind of our own special thanks that we want to give to everybody because we have finally hit 100 subscribers. So, in order to kick it off, I just want to say personally, it has been a year-long journey, and we do thank you and appreciate you for coming, subscribing, joining with us. Now I'm going to pass it on over to Hustle.
Damn, we starting off with me. All right. Yeah, 100 subs in actually less than a year technically, because we're at what, October. And honestly, you guys are awesome for supporting us and coming to our shows because we got some people that literally show up for every single episode that we have, and we appreciate all the love and support you guys are giving us. We couldn't ask for a better audience, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Raijin.
Yeah, it's been a cool thing seeing us slowly growing our little community of regulars, always in the chat, supporting us, showing love, boosting the conversations. It's been a good time. Like I like doing shit like this, like when I have a group of people to do it. So it's good to be kind of back in the YouTube space, and I'm happy my schedule got was able to get shifted around, so now I can be here much more consistently as it was in the past. So I can make more episodes and give more hilarity for y'all. So I hope y'all enjoy what we got coming, and thanks again for the support.
Amazing. Time. You're everybody's favorite. I know you got some great words for them.
Man, I am nobody's favorite, but I do appreciate the kind words. The truth of the matter is, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you that I do the show with, and if there wasn't people out there that enjoyed having us here. It's really it's nice to know that we're able to grow up to have 100 subscribers right now. In today's day and age, it's hard to get anyone's attention, much less getting 100. It
103.
is, yeah, it is. It's a lot more difficult these days. So to each and every one of you that tune in, whether it's on the weekly live streams and hanging out in the chats, or if you're catching us, on demand, thank you. It really does mean a lot to us.
Excellent. So again, from all of us here at Start Button, we extend our greatest thanks, and I know that we are well on the road to hitting 1,000 or 5,000, 100,000. This is just the beginning. We plan on continuing to entertain you, and hopefully, the people who are here now will stay with us as we grow. We'll never forget you. All right. So, moving from that, we're going to move on to
Now he's going to troll us. So get back into regular scheduled program.
you know what it is when I start off all extra serious, Rajan. You
Yep.
know how it goes.
I know. I'm just in case anyone doesn't know.
All right. Before I get to the trolling, if I get to the trolling, because that's really not who I am. But
What?
the roots of disbelief here are assassinating my character today. I don't understand.
You do a good job of doing that on your own, bro. Like, what do you mean?
What? I am appalled. Okay. So I got a question of the day for you guys. Today we're gonna celebrate gaming. We're gonna try to talk up games. We're gonna try to be positive about a lot of things, whether or not we are positive about them. So the first question that I have for you, the main question of the day is, what is currently the best designed controller in the gaming industry, and what is the worst?
Best designed.
I have a bias.
I might have to still say right now as far as convenience, more comfortable. Because like I was kind of leaning towards the DualSense for the PS5, but I those triggers be pissing me off sometimes. The haptic feedback triggers.
You know, you can turn them off, right?
I can't, but I'm trying to keep the experience that the developer wanted in the game. But like when you're playing,
that ain't gonna happen, bro.
You're playing Horizon Forbidden
You're not
West,
welcome
and
to
it's
that.
just like, oh, I'm trying to like not like take a mallet to the damn R2 button to shoot the bow properly. Nah, like I think the Xbox One might still just be the consistently all around best controller right now. Like it is.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not gonna say the Joy-Cons because I don't like the Joy-Cons. I like my Switch. I don't like Joy-Cons. But
I'm gonna be honest. As far as ergonomics, I have large hands, right?
same.
And with the way that I hold controllers, out of all of the controllers that I've held, the Joy-Cons, even in the little dock, are probably ergonomically the worst feeling controller I've had. They're the ones that make my hands feel
Those
crampy.
sticks do not feel good on them either.
And also, if you're trying to like do the little split, because you can play Mario Kart when you have it just like that, and like when you have the tiny little thing like that big, and you're trying to navigate, no. It's like
if you're not using a pro controller, I don't know what you're doing.
So, would you say that the Wii controller was better than the Joy-Con?
Like, as in the Wiimote?
Yeah,
you
Wiimote.
It didn't get good until Wii Sports Resort came out when they had the enhanced Wiimotes. Like, well, they had the Wii Motion Plus. I was trying to remember the name.
Oh, right, the Wii Motion Plus add-on.
And then when Skyward Sword came out, you could get it. Then they finally started making the new Wiimotes with the built-in Motion Plus, and that would like so. Whenever Skyward Sword came out, is when they finally got the gyrometers and everything in the Wiimote to start working better. But that was how many years after the Wii came out? Like 4? Skyward Sword was what, 2009, 2010, maybe 2011.
Like
so it didn't get it working.
It was a while.
Yeah, they didn't get it working for effectively. They didn't get it working for 4 years. So it's like I like the idea of the Wiimote, but it just didn't work great for way too long.
Yeah, would you say the Wiimote by the end of its cycle was better than where the Joy-Cons are right now?
Would I say they're better?
Yeah, like you know, end game Wiimote. Wii Motion Plus is built into it.
Aesthetically, no, because at least the Joy-Cons do have designs in mind for actually like gripping it, whereas the Wiimote was literally just a block, like a giant Lego block with buttons. Like there was no like good grip on it besides like hitting the ZR button in the back or whatever it was, and it was like, but overall it was just like you're grabbing a rectangle, and it was like it's not comfortable. I would say that at least ergonomically, the Joy-Cons have better grip, but they're just too small for me. Yeah, that's why I use a Pro controller for everything on the Wii when I'm playing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So do you think the Pro controller is like a small version of like an Xbox controller?
You said the
similar
Switch Pro?
The Pro controller.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
In my experience, the Pro controller is kind of a smaller version of the Xbox controller. The angles are a tad bit different. But the triggers function similar. The joystick placement is similar, if not the same, obviously. Yeah, I tend to think that it kind of functions more like an Xbox controller.
It's very close. I still put for me, I still feel like the Xbox controller is like top of class right now in terms of controllers. But like that's just a real hard bias I have. I like PlayStation controllers just fine. Like I have no problem using them. I have no problem playing games with them. Like I actually kind of prefer, just because of nostalgia, I prefer using them for RPGs. But like in terms of like my de facto controller and like on Steam, it's almost always going to be an Xbox controller. It's just way more comfortable. I actually really want to get a custom built Elite controller, because for as good as the standard controllers are, their Elite controllers are even better. Like my Xbox, just they spend so much money on R&D Their controllers are just like top notch.
Yeah. So now, all right.
I didn't say what mine was.
All right. Well, then hurry up and answer.
All right, well, I'm gonna throw y'all off. I'm gonna throw a curveball on this
What's
one.
up, Goji Senpai?
Best controller, in my opinion, Dreamcast controller.
That ain't current though.
Oh, you meant current, or do you mean in general? Are we talking in general or current? Or
Well, the question was, what's the best designed controller in the gaming industry? So,
best designed.
yes.
If we're gonna
The
go best
question
design,
is, what is the best design question in the gaming
we're gonna
industry,
go
Goji
best
Senpai,
design.
and what is the worst? And right now we're going over what we think is the best.
Best design is the Elite controller and the DualSense Edge with the customization to it,
The paddles and such on the
paddles
back.
and all that shit. Like those two
Yeah.
controllers are the best in my opinion. In my opinion, in terms of like industry design, like right, because all the adaptability and customization that you could do to that. So that's like leaps and bounds ahead of what we've had. Worst design controller, Nintendo 64, easily. That stick. That joystick is so garbage.
That was pretty
And they
bad. controller.
always broke. Like they would just wear down from play. And they would get looser and looser as time went on. Like
I've been disparaging that controller for almost 30 years now, and I will never stop.
not only that, but was the D-pad ever used for anything on it?
No.
Very rarely. Like
Barely.
Why the fuck was it there?
some games had it where you could adjust the camera with it, but that was it. But it was
But
like
you had to move your hand off of the joystick to go over to the D-pad so that you could do that.
I want to know who, like, what weird mutant was that controller designed for? Because it clearly is not meant for two hands. That is meant for like three hands.
I always say someone was just reading the Aquaman comic and it's like, yo, I got it. And then just decided to make a trident for a controller for some reason. And I don't know why. I hate
We
it.
are not Justice from Afro Samurai, who has that third arm. Like, that's
So let
not
me ask you a question, Hustle. Your original answer was Dreamcast. Why? And what makes the Dreamcast different from the Xbox?
Comfort and uniqueness of the VMU integration to the controller, where the actual memory unit itself, because you have to technically have to count both of them together, right? The VMU and the controller, because they do go hand in hand.
I mean, you didn't need a VMU.
It's a separate
play
peripheral,
games.
and you didn't have to have one.
Yeah.
And it was also quite large in comparison to like a PlayStation memory card.
Yeah, and it had one of the best analog sticks ever. But then again,
and it adds weight to the controller, so that also affects.
It had a nice weight. The analog stick was very smooth and very functional and very like responsive. But I'm not surprised because they're the ones that came out with the 3D pad from the Sega Saturn, which was the first analog controller that we had. Not counting a joystick.
Goji Senpai said the Dreamcast controller was trash, but the VMU was way ahead of its time. He also said the Dreamcast controller was just an original Xbox controller, but right.
Nah, I love the Dreamcast controller too. Even though when you looked at when they came out, I'm pretty sure all of us were like looking at Game Pro, Game for what it was, we're like, what is that? But then when you felt it felt fine. It was weird. Like aesthetically looking at it, it looks like it shouldn't work and be comfortable. But it did.
It looks like
I spent hundreds of hours playing Phantasy Star Online on Dreamcast.
I'm gonna be honest. If I had to compare all of the controllers of its time, Dreamcast wins. Because we're talking Nintendo 64 or GameCube, depending upon which part of the Dreamcast life cycle we're dealing with. We're talking original PlayStation,
GameCube with the
DualShock
nipple C-stick.
I mean, did we even get the DualShock at that time?
I think that came out 2000.
And then even if we got the DualShock, we're talking original PlayStation with no joysticks. We're talking DualShock 1 with the joysticks finally added. The DualShock controller.
Oh, it was 97. It was actually earlier than I thought.
Oh yeah, man, that changed the whole gaming landscape once that came out.
But like the pads on the DualShock came off so easily, and they always had a game that required you to just. So
Ape Escape.
When's the last time we've had a real game changer like DualShock like introduced? Like I know DualSense was
The-
supposed to do that, but
Honestly, I would say when the 360 controller and then the Xbox One controller came out, because it basically just
Yeah.
took the S and just
And
improved
tweak
upon
it
the
a little
design,
bit with each
improved the
generation.
design, and then
And
that's
it was
kind of where it went.
wireless. Wait, no, technically the Waybird wasn't the Waybird the first wireless controller?
It wasn't the first wireless; it was the first one that worked well.
Oh yeah, you're right.
PS3
Like-
when we got the first when we first got the DualShock.
you know what I
You mean the
think?
6-axis?
This is a bit of a
Oh,
side
that was
tangent.
six-axis, yes.
That's 6-axis, yeah.
Sorry, Tom.
Do
go
you
ahead.
know what? I was sorry, but like it just dawned on me. Do you know what we kind of were talking about this in our side chat earlier, inadvertently. But you know what I think one of the big sacrifices of having so many multi-plat games is now? I think that it becomes more difficult to have those kinds of innovations be as impactful and drive gaming forward as much because, well, actually, I'm probably wrong on that a little bit.
What?
No,
I
No,
agree with you on
I
this.
think no, because just go back. I would say continue after I say that.
Yeah.
A game I just said goes what you said, Ape Escape, because that was a very
Yeah,
innovative game on the PlayStation and didn't play like anything else. Like when the DualShock came out, using it to like use the net to capture apes, but we haven't had a game like utilize stuff like that recently, except for now
Yeah.
Astrobot that had Ape Escape controls for that one level and stuff like
because
that.
so like what I'm getting at is because like even if they plan on being an exclusive, in the back of their minds, they have to be designing stuff for PC eventually. So they have to be designing stuff for the widest audience they possibly can. So like it isn't as intelligent. Like this is why the Wii U controller didn't take off as well. Like you need to design stuff that can be ported over to different consoles as much as possible. So like you can't have as many things that are one console dependent for like one feature of a game to be so driven heavily by these features. Like even the Astro Bot game that just came out, as I understand it, it really didn't make full use of the PlayStation 5 features. They're there, but like it's not dependent on them because odds are they're planning on bringing it to PC eventually.
I think the original Astro's Playground did a better job of utilizing the dual controller than
that was the
Astro
vibe I
did.
was getting. Yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is that Astro's Playground shipped with every console, and it was literally designed to show you the features of the DualSense instead of Astrobot being designed as a game. So it's
Right.
literally just made to kind of be enjoyed and play.
Yeah, but like on the flip side though, right? Like if this is a game that was being designed to be a showcase of fun gaming on the PlayStation, then they could have still leaned into the PlayStation centric features that if they decide to port this to PC would not be missing for a PC port. I mean, they could hypothetically force you into a PlayStation controller on PC, but I mean, does the Steam version of a PlayStation driver still have access to those features in DualSense? And I don't know the answer to that. But so long, like I'm thinking it's possible that because of the fact that we don't have as much of that going on with like, because most things are going to go to PC at some point, I'm wondering if we're going to miss out on some of that innovation as time goes forward. Like if we're going to miss out on some of those reasons to push controllers forward, by example, right? Like I'm curious if that winds up being like a sub thing that happens.
I'm gonna say that ergonomically, personally, my vote, even though I have biases, my vote for the best ergonomic feeling controller is probably going to be the Xbox controller.
Well, that's really cool. So, oh, sorry. Keep on. I just read something Goji said.
Original?
Oh,
Like the Duke, the original controller?
current one.
The really huge one? Well, I was gonna say I thought you would choose that one because you have big hands and that was like super huge.
I got big hands. The Duke controller is not comfortable.
And also, let me give you guys an admittance that you're probably gonna laugh at me for. When PlayStation 2 was out and we were still on wired controllers. So one thing that I was very well known for was going to GameStop or whatever game store I could find, and I would buy the third party controllers like the Mad Cats.
Oh no.
But instead of buying like the regular third party PlayStation 2 controllers, I would buy the mini ones. I enjoyed playing on those tiny controllers.
Oh,
The Pelican controllers.
I'm more
Like-
mad at you that you bought
Yeah,
Mad
no,
Cat.
I know what you're talking about. I used to have them too.
Yeah,
I used to.
literally bought the mini.
I remember playing True Crime on one of those controllers. True Crime Streets of
It was
LA.
awesome. There was a point where they would start breaking, and so what I would do is I would actually snip the wires, and depending upon where the disconnect was, if the disconnection was at the controller side, then I would snip it close to the controller, and if the disconnection was at the port side, I would snip it close to the port, and then I would actually splice them together so that I would have. There was a point where I had a 17-foot long controller wire.
Nice.
Real quick, Goji actually let us know that apparently there are games on Steam that use the DualSense functionality. So my hypothesis might be a little off. I don't know,
Probably God
but-
of War, Horizon.
but like it definitely feels like console exclusives is part of what used to drive innovation on the like actual like mechanics of games, right? Like DualShock controllers for a while were console exclusive kind of thing just because of the functionality of it. You had PlayStation with their cell processing stuff in terms of like graphics and all that. I don't know.
that
Or
DualShock
maybe
one was like the innovator for that was like the standard for the industry. We couldn't go back after that. We don't have
Yeah,
that.
it's weird. I thought VR was going to be the next evolution of gaming. I really did. Like maybe it still could be. Maybe it's just going to take a while to catch on. But I felt like because I just feel like there's only so many places you can go with the controllers and stuff as it exists today. I feel like the innovation now is meshing genres together.
I mean, VR proved me wrong. I thought it was just gonna be a fad that's gonna fizzle the fuck out really fast, and it's here to stay.
Oh,
Honestly,
But I mean,
Oh, that's
you also
fair.
got to remember that VR has been around since
1980s.
Yeah, the 1980s. And then even in our gaming, like
And then it peaked with
Virtual
Virtual
Boy.
Boy. I was about to say it peaked
R
with Virtual
Zone.
Boy.
You remember the R Zone, right? The little thing you had to wear on your head and it went over one eye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like people have been looking for this tech. Jaguar, kinda.
I mean, I love this technology. I hope it continues to grow. I think VR has a lot of potential to evolve gaming as we know it in the future. But I think it's going to be a slow burn just because we have to overcome a lot of hurdles, right? We have to overcome the motion sickness, which I know we're making progress on. We have to overcome people with glasses, making that comfortable, which I know we're getting closer on. I think that we have to overcome some of the costs. Like I think MetaQuest is a great entry level VR experience for just day-to-day living, but like the Valve Index is for sure where I think, speaking of controllers, Valve Index with their knuckle controller, I think like that's like a really big part of the future of gaming, but it's like a $1,700 setup for very minimal gains over the MetaQuest.
APOC.
Valve
No.
Index?
No.
Yeah,
It's like a
the one that came
$1,200.
out-
It's expensive.
It's the one that came out with Half-Life Alex.
Yeah, it came out a long time. It came out a while ago.
Yeah, it came out a long time ago. It's like the highest end of VR experiences last I checked. I'm sure there's new stuff out there now that I'm just like so lost in the sauce.
Vision Pro is probably
That's
but
not really
Vision
something
Pro.
that's
Not-
different.
That's like AR, but
Yeah.
it does have technology in it that I think could be utilized in VR, like the fact that it'll actually adjust the lenses to people who have like bad eyesight.
Correct.
So then
I
it
think
basically scans your eyes and it adjusts it to your prescription.
I have a friend who worked on that.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
But- Yeah, it's I think the Apple Vision Pro is really cool. I think MetaQuest is more likely to be I think MetaQuest is more likely to take off than the Vision Pro is.
Of course it is. Look at the
Um,
difference. The difference is $2,600.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if
That's a
Valve
big
can make
part of
like,
it.
I think if Valve can make the next generation index like more approachable, then that's a decent chance to take over more PC gaming. Like,
I hope that
experience.
happens.
But yeah,
I
that,
really
that
hope that
cost of
happens.
entry is crazy. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
It's the
I
cost
know.
of entry and the cost of entry, the space for it, and it's like the sad and like again, it goes back to what I was talking about with the Wii U. Like the Wii U, I stand by could have been Nintendo's greatest console.
Could have been.
But it could have been. But a large part of the problem was it ran into similar problems I believe the PlayStation Vita ran into. In that development costs were too high to develop stuff specifically for the Wii U that would make use of the controller. And like PlayStation Vita, one of their problems was that they basically had like PlayStation 3 development costs, but they could only charge like PlayStation portable prices almost. It was like
Yeah.
$30 it was like $30. It's really hard to make money on
Yeah.
those.
That thing was
$30 to
ahead of its
$40.
time too.
And the fact that they required you to have that specific memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
The
was
proprietary memory was not a smart idea.
yeah.
But for the most part, that thing was a very advanced handheld that honestly I felt was better than what Nintendo was offering at the time. But it didn't have Nintendo barrier of entry to it.
and unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of experiences for it because, like, I don't think a Monster Hunter actually properly came out for the Vita.
No, they showed a demo of
Yeah, there was
how
a demo,
it worked.
like they teased that they were gonna port Portable Third to it and never did.
And they showed like you being able to like because the touchpad is on the back of the Vita, and they showed you being able to climb up vines by using the touchpad. I remember this demo like yesterday, and that was gonna be what was gonna get me to buy the Vita, but they never came out with it. So I was like,
I'm going to be honest with you. The Vita and having the touchpad and also being able to use it as a controller for the current PlayStation system, like it had a lot of good ideas. And to be honest with you, I think that they actually have taken a lot of what it was in the Vita and put it into the DualSense controller, specifically the touchpad, and how that works. Even there were even a couple of other things that they kind of ported over from the Vita. And I mean, like essentially the Vita might be dead, but it's not dead. If that makes sense. So you have those touch and sense things, and even what's now in the PlayStation Portable or the PlayStation Portal. So like there's still Vita living on throughout a lot of their products at this point. Now
Vita walk so we could run.
I would also probably say that that a lot of these handhelds are probably also ahead of their time, even when they were current. So the Vita was ahead of its time because even now, like you see a lot of things like the Steam Deck and Switch, they have somewhat similar design aspects. They take the Vita's failures, or they take Vita may not have succeeded, and they try to improve upon it. And as long as they keep the barrier to entry, that price point relatively low, I think that it's something that we could see a lot more handheld gaming in the future. Especially the main issue that's at this point is going to be power and how long you're going to have a charge.
I feel like the Switch is like a good direction. In my opinion, I think consoles should start to gravitate towards, giving you the option of being on the go, but also being able to connect in at home in some fashion.
I don't know.
Maybe if you can, maybe you could just make the controllers do that or something. Like I don't know.
Maybe I was gonna say the Switch was a good idea.
Yeah,
especially because I'm a gamer, so when I travel for work and things of that nature, I brought my Switch with me. Now, to this day, I still, if I have to travel for any purpose, I'll bring my Switch and my Steam Deck, and that's what will entertain me on the plane. I've met a couple of people on the plane who were either gaming on laptops or gaming on Steam Decks or something, and like I'm sitting close to them, and next thing you know, we're friends forever. Like I got friends now who I've met on planes. So, I mean,
I would rather
Definitely.
take a Steam Deck or like a Switch or something like that over a laptop for gaming wise. Like, not unless it's work wise. Work wise,
Right,
obviously.
right.
it's a
Well, I mean,
laptop, but
I was always traveling with a laptop too because
yeah.
work, but
Yeah. But if it's not work related or anything like that, we're just talking about I just want a game on the go when I'm traveling. I would like to have more options console wise that allow me to just do that. Like the PlayStation Portal should have been a mobile version of some sort that you could just take a game on the go. Missed opportunity.
I think it's a missed opportunity, but it's also like entry level experiment for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
in that sense where you get to kind of do that screen mirroring and like without bringing that cost too high, it gives you the ability to copy over your PlayStation, play your PlayStation 5, right?
Yeah.
But now you have to add things like, in addition to the Wi-Fi technology, you have to add things like wireless services, and you have to work with like internet companies or like cell phone companies, things of that nature, to put antenna in there. So it gets to be weird. And
Let's
yeah,
just go
4G,
Wi-Fi only.
a lot of people do hate the fact that it was a streaming system. But on the plus side, it's kind of a way where you don't have to buy your games again. Like, if it wasn't a streaming system, you'd have to buy your games for Portal, then you'd have to buy your games for PS5. It just becomes a really weird money sink. And then devs would also have to design things specifically for the power and capability of the Portal. So it's a lot easier on everybody for it to have been what it is, in my opinion.
I mean, someday I think we'll get there.
There is one thing about the current Xbox controller that I don't like, and it kind of burns me up a little bit.
Does it use batteries?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually thinking about picking up a Portal. We were talking about this earlier. I'm in a situation. Well, I'm in a situation where I have a studio apartment. We have one TV in the place, and I do my best to not commandeer the TV from Katie. She enjoys
That's
watching the
just
TV, and I have so much other stuff to do on my computer. It really doesn't matter to me. But lately I'm wanting to play like Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm wanting to play more stuff that's on my PlayStation. And
Sparking Zero on your PlayStation.
So we can all battle each other. So you
I'm
can
just
run a
saying,
tournament.
You can, come play with your real friends.
My real friends would have gotten it on PC.
Not all of your real friends have PCs that can play it.
I mean, I'm gonna
Oh,
double dip at
please.
some point.
I'm not double
I
dipping
know
on
I'm
that.
going to.
I normally double dip on things like Monster Hunter just so I can play with all of my friends.
At least this year we don't gotta do that because
If your
crossplay.
computer can handle Monster Hunter, it can handle Dragon Ball.
Oh, I know my computer can handle it. Like I said, I have friends who,
I got you.
My
got
computer
you.
can handle
I got
Sparking
you.
Zero, but not everyone's computer here can handle Sparking Zero.
Who's
I
computer
got you.
Again, I don't know about.
Huh?
Yeah,
Again.
whatever.
Is there so-
Loon's camp.
No,
Oh.
oof.
Oh.
are we I was trying not to call anyone out.
I was confused
I
about
was-
who couldn't. I was legitimately confused about who couldn't. I was like, I can't. I was like,
I was like, he's talking to me? Like, I know it ain't me.
I know you're talking about me.
Look, I was trying to be nice. Y'all say that I troll. It's not me this time.
I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I apologize. I would like to humbly apologize to Loon for calling out that he's the reason I'm by myself on Dragon Ball.
He's a little bit computer challenged. Even though he's our technical wizard.
He's about to
I
shut
don't-
the stream down
You
right
had to
now.
say that?
Hey, yo.
I'm not-
I mean, I'm not. I didn't give him money to go buy a computer, so I accept the fact that he's my computerly challenged friends at this moment.
No, I actually really didn't. I genuinely, I'm just putting 2 and 2 together right now that he fried his graphic.
No, he didn't fry his graphics card.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought he did. Okay,
no,
cool.
No, that's
Hustle
not
fried his
him.
graphics card.
Listen, we've been over this. If I had a spirit, like, listen, Haunter is my favorite Pokemon, but let's be real about this. My spirit Pokemon is Slowpoke.
Oh,
Let's just be real about this.
We call that event. We call that event that Space Marine 2 killed my PC.
yeah.
That's the story we're gonna go with.
Space Marine 2 fried Hustle's PC because I think we went. Did we go over the story last week? No, we went over the story amongst each other.
After the show, we did.
Yeah, we went over the story amongst each other. But yes, Space Marine 2 killed Hustle's PC. It fried his graphics card and was it the motherboard? And
how?
Like some
Okay.
You want the real story?
Since I was the one who had to work on everything. Basically,
You want the real story?
Yeah. So Hustle has been like
Frog, got it.
skin of his teeth from when he bought his computer.
Before we go into this, I'm sorry, Rajan.
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to use this moment to let you know when you're building your own computer, there are certain things that you need to do. And when you start putting together parts lists or when you start looking at computer specifications, they usually tell you how big of a power supply you need to have. So if it tells you that your computer is going to use 500 watts, it's usually recommended that you go and get an 800 watt power supply so you have some extra headroom. Now, Rajan, resume.
So when Hustle bought his computer, it came with a 2080 Ti. Got his Ryzen processor, 32 gigs of RAM, his M2 solid state, and a 2 terabyte hard drive. It's like, okay, cool, not a bad setup. I didn't know the specs of his computer at the time when we started, so he wanted to put Space Marine 2 on his M2, but they get kind of now PC builders, they cut corners. They want to be the best, like they don't put like a Samsung 980 or a high tier one. So he needed more space. Go to Micro Center, get him a 2 terabyte, pop it in, starts working. Finally, we started getting it working because the other one we bought had motherboard compatibility issues. So we had to go back. By the way, don't buy a Samsung 990 with cross-gen compatibility unless you really want to deal with updating BIOS, flash and CMOS memory. Like, just get one that's compatible from the start, from the jump.
I don't like cross-gen anything anyway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
don't do that.
So we finally got the new proper Gen 4 M2 in. He's playing, it's working good. And then he needed more space. And then I found I had a spare M2 because I forgot I had my old 1 terabyte M2 for my computer just sitting around. So before I had that, cool, we got 2 M2s in there now. So we're boosting the power draw a little bit, but I didn't know
because SSDs don't draw tons of power.
Yeah, but it's basically just adding stuff that wasn't in the calculation before for the motherboard and the power supply. So it was working after what, day and a half ish,
2 days. I was skating by 2 days. I was like, all right,
I'm out. I'm enjoying a nice beverage at the brewery, and he messaged me. He's like, "Yo, it's doing it again." I'm like, "What? They ain't no goddamn way." So I tackled everything that I knew trying to fix this thing, and nothing worked. And I was like, "All right, we got a couple options. Might be your motherboard and processor, or it could be the video card because that's the best we got." Like, I don't think the RAM's bad, and I'm not 100% sure the motherboard's bad. So we went to Micro Center, got it on the motherboard. Same issue, but had a different error light on the motherboard. And I was like, oh, I don't want it to be your video card because it had the little GPU, the VGA light. I took my video card out of my computer, popped it right in, immediately worked. And I was like, video card's dead. But basically, long story short, he drove too much power. His power supply was just like, I'm trying, boss, and it couldn't do it anymore. It just gave out and shorted out.
And here is the former
Killed the old motherboard, killed the old video card.
It's a 1080, 2080, right?
2080 Ti, my bad.
Yeah. But yeah,
it is.
That was fun. That was a solid like 2 weeks of like computer like troubleshooting. Effectively,
I think all of this happened because he had a 600 watt power supply. With all of these huge components, a Ryzen 7.
Yeah.
and a 2080
9.
Ti. Oh, Ryzen 9. Look
Yeah.
at that. He's not making this any better.
I'm not the person who put that shit together. Blame Zotac. Originally, I was just gonna buy all the parts for it, but then like COVID and all that, and I was like, okay,
I completely understand. But this is actually one of the reasons why instead of me purchasing a pre-built, I actually picked out every component that was going to go into my computer, and then when it arrived, because it said that I only needed like a 700-watt power supply. They were gonna give me I went to 850 just to have that extra room, because I have a 3080 and a Ryzen 9.
Always add whatever it says your wattage need, add at least minimum extra 50.
Yeah,
but typically they don't go it's like that, so you got another 100.
I was out here one day. I was over here just minding my business, and we got Katie a pre-built from Best Buy, and she was playing some Diablo. And next thing you know, all I hear is crack. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a burst of fire coming from her power supply.
Yikes!
Yeah, thankfully I had another one here on hand, but like her power supply literally just blew, and like a little spark came out from the back of the computer. It was nuts.
What power supply did they put in her computer?
I do not know.
The crazy thing is, all these companies skimp.
Diablo is fire.
They do.
Oh my god! All these companies skimp on what power supply they put in. It's ridiculous. Your computer, Katie's computer, like it's ridiculous what they say. It's like that should be fine. Just eyeball it. Get.
It's like no, dude. Oh, speaking of which, Eric, that power supply that's in the computer in the living room, that is not the original power supply. You remember that? I replaced that with a good one because it had a shitty one in it too originally when I sent that to me.
What do you mean by a good one? And this is also
like one of an actual reputable manufacturer.
I mean, reliable. Was it 80 plus gold?
Wait, what?
Was it 80 plus anything?
I think it's a 600. I think it's a 650 watt.
I think it's a 650 watt gold
Corsair?
thermal take or something like that. Or
something
the
like
one
that.
in your old computer. I don't know if it's Corsair thermal take. I didn't take that deep a look at it.
Yeah, but like the original power supply did it have an 80 plus rating?
The original one that was in that?
Yeah.
Not.
It was like some manufacturer I ain't never heard of.
Yeah, but sometimes even the ones that you don't hear of or you don't know still have a rating, which means that they have a safety rating or something.
Let me tell you.
Most likely bronze.
Let me tell you how either old or bad that was. That power supply didn't even have braided casing over the wires.
Okay, so you had
that's how old that power supply might have been, and or cheap.
Okay, so you had ketchup and mustard.
Essentially, yeah. In that one, not the one in this one.
Yeah.
But in the one that's downstairs, yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't respect anybody who has ketchup and mustard cables, but you know,
I wouldn't trust the power supply in 2024 that has ketchup and mustard cables just exposed out, the guts just exposed.
Ladies and gentlemen,
naked
mustard cables means that you can actually see the different colors on all of the wires that are going into all your connectors. So red, yellow, white, black. So ketchup, mustard, mayo, you know, all of that stuff. Like that's what we mean by ketchup mustard cables.
You don't trust that.
Most times, more reputable power supplies now will come with cables that are just coated black. They just have black wire covering on them, and you know each pin is designed to do what each pin is designed to do. We don't need to take pins out or anything of the sort. We don't need to repin or anything like that. So usually if you see something that has colored cables, not cable covers, but colored actual cables, it means it's older. So now that we've talked controllers and we've talked PCs and PC parts, let's dig into a little bit of Star Wars Outlaws. As we all know, we all reported on Star Wars. We talked about it. We talked about what we thought the game would be. We talked about how we thought it would do. Various things. We've seen reviews. The game has been out. The game has been out for a little while, and at this point, it has been kind of a little bit of a disappointment. We looked at what were the projected numbers, and again, we have to go back and say time is right. Okay, time was right, and the fact that the game wasn't really performing or didn't really look like it was going to perform. Ubisoft themselves have admitted that Star Wars Outlaws is not meeting their expectations, and as a result of the state of the game upon release, they have even decided to delay Assassin's Creed Shadows. They've decided to delay Assassin's Creed Shadows with the hopes and giving that platform not platform, but giving that game a little bit of extra time to kind of polish. So they're hoping to release Assassin's Creed Shadows with a little bit more polish, which apparently also in my reading is not actually a surprise to the developers, because they had been letting Ubisoft know for quite a while that they needed more time. So essentially, this is just Ubisoft agreeing to give them the time that they needed to polish the game. To this day, well, I don't know about to this day, but as of last week, it actually was stated that Star Wars Outlaws had only sold about 1 million copies across all the platforms, and was currently falling behind even Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So, over the time that the game has been out, we know that the sales have been a little bit lackluster. We know that the reviews haven't been completely positive about certain bugs and certain mechanics in the game. But I will say that to this date, they have been diligently working on the game, providing tons of patches and making major improvements to try to get this game into a better state. Some of the notable updates were fixes to stability, performance, including frame rate drops that were happening, and improved animation of the main character. They've updated the graphics, the UI. They've done some audio updates. They've done story updates. They've done a ton of different things. So now the question that I pose to you guys is this: Star Wars Outlaws was not necessarily a totally bad game. So is this amount of effort enough to push sales?
No.
Probably not.
Like,
we need to install it.
all right, so let me just start with like the basics on this. All right, the game cost them $300 million to develop, first off. All right, so even if it pushes sales, do we think there's going to be enough to get them caught up to with where they needed to be just to hit their initial budget? I don't think so. Here's the reasons why. Most games, now there are exceptions to these rules. Cyberpunk would be a good example of an exception to the rules. But the rules are the rules. Most games have a very short window of relevancy to be able to hit their initials, like sales targets. It's possible for games with developers where like your game is more of like a long-term game, like
Destiny.
I don't know, like yeah, but that's a horrible example anymore. Destiny,
just it's a long-term game,
Yeah, like a Destiny, right? Like those games that are living games, you can turn them around. You can probably get some interest, but like you're gonna have like a Cyberpunk level of effort in terms of turning this game around. They're trying to make a Red Dead Redemption style game in terms of like what the comparisons are going to in 3 years. It probably needs another 2 years of development time to be like what it should be. Like I just like, and think about other games that are coming out between now and like let's say when's the first expansion supposed to drop? The first DLC.
Is the first expansion early next year?
That's free now, by the way.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me see when that's coming out. Star Wars Outlaws first DLC is coming out November 21st.
Okay, so
all right.
next month. And the game released in August?
Yeah, so they basically have between now and November 21st to get the game into a state where there's enough changes to it that people are willing to give it a second chance, because November 21st is their next window of having like any kind of real any type of real attention to the game. Plus, they're going to have the Black Friday sales going on, so they're going to be able to do like 50% sales. That's their next window, but we're talking about 50% off. So like we're talking about $35 per game,
which means you're still not recouping money.
No. Like now you're going into like they've already given away the first DLC, which is going to add on to their costs. Like there's no real viable option from what I can see outside of them catching on a Black Friday sale to make this into a success.
Either that or someone streams it and someone big streams it and it starts popping off from there.
But
that literally sometimes ends up being a resurgence of a game.
Right, but that would be part of them having enough interest. Like, think about the games that are coming out right now. Like, we got Sparking Zero that just dropped. We've got We've got
Diablo.
The Diablo expansion just dropped today.
Black Ops.
You have
Black Ops.
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah,
the Diablo expansion's out right now.
They're just having some server issues, but yeah, the expansion's out in Black Ops.
Oh, I'll say you can't tell somebody who works.
I got Black Ops mixed up. Shut up. Quiet.
He said today
I got it mixed up with Black Ops.
You had the Silent Hill game drop. You have a whole bunch of stuff between now and then dropping. Whenever the next window is, like, you're gonna have Ghost of Hote eventually, but actually that's probably gonna be 2026. Forget that. I just realistically, I just think it's gonna be very hard for them to generate interest. Like I've been wrong about it before, but I just think that Ubisoft is going through so much crap right now. It's gonna be very hard for them to spin this around.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, cool! I redeemed.
No Man's Sky. Yeah, No Man's Sky is another example of a game that was able to turn it around, but like that's a persistent game. Like that's a game that like
that's a
part.
Game.
That game
dedicated commitment to.
Yeah, like the Star Wars Outlaws team was not like. You have to keep in mind, right? Like the time they've been dedicating to fixing the game was time that was supposed to be spent polishing the new DLC. It's time that's supposed to be spent working on the DLC after that. Like all of this work they're putting into fixing the stuff right now is taking away from so much of the other efforts they've got going on right now.
Now, if they're doing all of this to fix the game, right? And then they drop the DLC, that means that the DLC has the potential to break the game all over again.
I mean, hypothetically, yeah, but hopefully they would be able to catch that. Like there's always a risk of DLCs breaking stuff, but there's a risk of any change breaking stuff. There's stories of them going in and updating something as minimal as like a comment for a line of code someplace and then forgetting to like uncomment something and breaking stuff for like a really small routine update. Like any change to a game can break it. So yeah, of course the DLC has a chance to break it. Really, the bigger concern is the DLC going to offer enough content and high enough quality content that people feel like they're getting their money's worth? Like that's the big issue. Like here's like the end of the day, like I will always say this, no matter what the controversy is, no matter like, like DER, no matter what the controversy is, if the game is good, all of that goes away. Like all of the nonsense, all the noise, it goes away if so long as like the game is good. You're always gonna have detractors out there. You're always gonna have people screaming about one thing or another. Whether or not that resonates with an audience and whether or not people care about it and whether or not something sells ultimately boils down to, is the game good? And the problem with Star Wars Outlaws faced is that it failed to deliver. Again, like they tried to deliver on a very big concept in 3 years. Red Dead Redemption took 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. Grand Theft Auto 6 is taking like 10 years. Like these,
they're at 12 now.
It'll be 12 next year.
Ugh.
Like
it may not even come out.
we're in the era of, and like I don't mean this in a derogatory way, because like I'm a dude who, like, I was just talking to you guys, like I just went to Sonic last night and I had myself a lovely time. We're in the era of fast food gaming in a lot of ways, in terms of like just
I like
trying
that
to
term.
get stuff out the door as fast as we can. Like, it doesn't mean the stuff's bad. Like, we have some phenomenal games right now, like 100%. Like the one of my favorite franchises right now is like the definition of fast food gaming with Yakuza. Like, they are pumping out games, but they're not very complex games. Like, they have a very simple formula. They have a story they're trying to tell, but they're fantastic. But they're fast food.
I got another
know?
analogy for you. The Yakuza games are basically the One Piece of games. Here's why I'm upset. Stay with me, Tone. I know you giving me the side eye. Stay with me. Because the Yakuza games come out in rapid succession, but they're high quality. Do you see where I'm going with this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
And also, people don't want to give them a fair chance. Boom.
That too.
Because you never know where your starting point is. You always think that it's such a long series, this is going to take you forever, and you might not enjoy it, and you'll waste your time. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the fact of the matter of it being a series that comes out weekly, and they have high quality animation is like movie quality animation, by the way, too, that you don't normally see in a series. Listen.
I mean, they've had massive improvements from before.
That have, you see the drop in animation quality in a lot of other series. You don't really see that in One Piece.
When Dragon Ball Super started the anime, those first 30 episodes was rough.
I have to watch that still.
I don't know. 7 Deadly Sins was pretty bad at the end, bro.
Oh God!
Oh, it was. But
with that.
The first 2 seasons were solid. 3 dropped the ball. 4 kind of brought it back up. Still bad though, but like at least it started strong.
Bro, look at Meliodas' like feet. Like, oh God.
Or when he's like blown up, just like in a bed, just like sitting stiff like that for
no
reason.
That when you talk 7 Deadly Sins, that's the only image that comes to my mind now. Nothing else does. Just that.
At least 4 Nights of the Apocalypse is solid so far.
You guys, all I'm saying is this Dragon Ball talk is make me want to boot up Sparking Zero. So I'm just gonna
7 Deadly Sins talk.
Listen. Whatever.
The Dragon Ball was mentioned. We're getting to that time. Trust me, we're getting to that.
All I'm saying is Yakuza is a One Piece of games.
Makes sense.
But you're right. You're right. And like I don't mean that in a derogatory way when I say fast food, because like I'm just saying because that sounds way more derogatory. Because like I just
but it's not, because
it's definitely the fast food of games.
Customer demand. So customer demand is that you got to pump these things out. You gotta keep content coming. Otherwise, people are just going to completely lose interest. And then if you don't strike while that iron is hot, then you're not going to be able to capitalize off of what you already created and established. Now, if you can't find the formula, then you struggle for it.
Hold on.
So it makes sense.
I'm terrible with money, Goji.
Hold on. You said customer demand, though. Is it really customer demand, or is it shareholder demand?
It's actually a bit of both.
Because I don't want.
It's right. You don't want. All right. So you don't want somebody to keep on pumping out bad games. But how long is it that you're playing a game before you decide that, all right, I'm done with this? Like, we're not in the age where we're sitting here playing a Final Fantasy game for a year anymore, because it's just holding our interest that hard. We play a game, and the average consumer, they want a game that's 35 hours.
But also, like the other, it's not even just that though, right? Like, so yeah, like it's not even just that. I don't think. Like, all right, so context, right? Yakuza. We just got done talking about how they're the One Piece of games, right?
Or less, yeah. But
yeah.
All right, so think about this, right? You don't mind that right now because the quality for Yakuza games is a pretty consistent high, right?
True.
Now, you might not care if they continue releasing things at the clip they're doing it, but you're not complaining about it, right? Like, you're not sitting there saying, whoa there, buddy, I really wish they would just take more time and, develop Yakuza games slower, because I think it'd be really cool to see what they could do if they spend 3 years working on a game. You're just enjoying the content. You're just like, fuck it, yeah, keep delivering that to me, keep giving it to me. Well, ideally, what shareholders would love is to have games where they can just do that, like Call of Duty, Yakuza. These are dream franchises for game publishers and game developers because they're easy to put out. They make consistently decent returns on the investment. When you start getting into that territory of like a Grand Theft Auto, which is like what everyone dreams of, it just prints money, right? Yeah. It's also a huge risk because that is 12 years of development time. If this game drops and it's ass, guess what? You're out $1 billion.
And so is your entire franchise. Nobody's giving your franchise a try no more. But what call it to be fair, pardon me, Call of Duty usually has like a 3-year development cycle because they have 3 different studios working on the various Call of Duty. So that's why we alternate between the different styles of Call of Duty. So they'll have a Treyarch game, then they'll have an Infinity Ward game, and then they'll have a Sledgehammer game. So they've always done that 3-year cycle so that even though there's a game that comes out every year.
But we're going back to, again, I would still consider 3 years to be pretty fast food for games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's not every year. You know what I mean?
That's a short cycle.
Well, yeah, I don't think like, all right, if you want to go quick service, to go with the Chick-fil-A comparison, we can go quick service, but the reality of it is, for me, I feel strongly that a strong AAA title needs about 5 years minimum to cook. That is a strong philosophy I have. Now, like, I'm not saying you can't do it with less time. You absolutely can. Like, you absolutely. Well, it's not even an anomaly. Like, you can do it. It's just like the quality is noticeably not as good as it would be if you had more time. True. That's like so. I guess it really depends on the scale of it. But like the games that you grew up with, most of them took at least like most of those games were 7 to 10 year endeavors on the development team's projects.
It also depends on the developer too, because some developers pull off even Witchcraft in 5 years. Because if I remember right, Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring was 5-year development time.
I think 5 years is probably like. I think you can get something really good in 5 years. I just get sketchy when it gets down to 3, because like 3 years is just not a lot of time.
I just also realized something though. There is the outlier of like a game that takes a long time, comes out, and it's just not good.
That's not even an outlier.
It doesn't happen often, but it does happen every now and then.
Starfield. Well, absolutely. Well, no, I mean, it absolutely happens. Like Duke Nukem Forever is a thing.
Starfield is.
I'm not talking about that. I have no comment on that.
I got that for free, and I still feel ripped off.
No. We cannot.
Oh no, you guys can.
You can.
Destiny one.
We're celebrating today. We're talking positively about games today.
You know,
I'm sorry, but Vanilla Destiny is definitely that. Like without no expansions, just straight Vanilla Destiny took how long in development? That was teased all the way back in like Halo days and Halo 1 days, and I believe
that was teased. They teased Destiny during ODST.
Yeah,
that was like where the first real tease of it came. Well, I mean, like the truth of it is like a lot of ideas start before they ever get in development. Like it's usually the brainchild of someone. I just don't think these short development times are healthy for gaming. Like I know we get a lot of really good games, but it burns a lot of people out. It creates budgets that are just not sustainable because their solution a lot of the times is they try and hire large teams to get more done. But like the reality of it is that all that ultimately winds up doing is creating a lot of busy work, because like the reality is there's only so many people who can be working on core needed stuff at any given time. So like a lot of the times there's people who are probably sitting around doing other work that like is like much smaller or busy work, I would say. Like I feel like that's part of why there's so many 75-hour plus games.
And I don't need every game to be 35 hours, 35 plus. Like,
Well, some people want games that are 20, 30 hours. Like some
because
people
they
want
feel
to finish.
like that gets. They feel like for some reason, if a game is long, it has more value to it. That
Well,
is not always the case.
sometimes I
Valhalla
feel
is long as
sometimes I'm
hell.
that person
And
where
I'm
I
just
feel
like,
like the
bro,
longer I want to play a game, the more hours that I want to put into the game, the more value I got out of my money. Like
listen.
I don't know how I feel about spending $70 on a 15-hour game.
But what if you had the time of your life for that 15 hours though? Like, what if that was the best gaming experience you've had that was only 15 hours long?
And yet now it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the game. Like, I love Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It's one of the best action games ever come out. I
That
beat
is
that
short.
game in 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
That was
that
a
game is
$60,
short
that was a
as fuck.
$60 game when I came out. Arguably, top 5 video game soundtrack all time. Some of the best fighting combat system boss fights from a franchise I love. And I didn't even buy it. Like, I borrowed your copy, and then
Yep.
I was like, I'm done. Like, I got home from work and I beat it like that night. I was like, I had no idea this game was that short. And
But
I was
it's
like,
got replayability.
I was like, it does, but it like games like that. Like, I love that game, but I would still feel some type of way if I like went to the GameStop that launch day, bought it, and beat it that night. And I was like,
It kind of makes you feel like a sweaty.
But then there's the flip side to that of like a game that takes a long time and is a chore to get through. That is Valhalla, and that is, I hate to say this, as much as I love Dragon's Dogma 2, it's kind of a chore to get through.
Monster Hunter.
No.
Monster Hunter at least has a co-op factor.
Yeah.
I was yes.
But for
But
a single player
let me be
experience-
clear. Let me be clear. 850 hours
That's that farming.
just in world.
You gotta get them rubies, man.
Farming something over and over. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a chore.
That was
I
why
don't think about that when I'm with my friends.
I'm just saying, sometimes it's like I need a little bit of variety. Like fighting the same thing over and over again is why I stopped playing Destiny.
But those are also those are also games as well, technically Monster Hunter is not. Well, is it games?
Monster
as a
Hunter
Service?
World is technically a game, but it was technically the first games as a service Monster Hunter game because like you can steady updates, repetitive gameplay loop, farming, hunting monsters, playing people, waiting on new monsters to come out, waiting new gear to come out. So Monster Hunter World is a game of service. Like technically they all are when they keep adding stuff to it.
Yeah, true.
I think the DS ones actually did it too.
From like 4
maybe.
on generations on, I think.
Yeah, I think that because and remember we were happy that we were getting updates because they were giving you free updates.
Yeah.
You didn't have to get season passes and all that stuff. The only time you had to invest really in a DLC would be the cosmetic DLCs that they would put out where you buy those, or when you would
or like when Iceborne finally launched.
Get an expansion like Iceborne or Ultimate or something like that, and you basically be buying an expansion for maybe 2/3 of the price, but you would get an entire new game. So
I mean, you can go on the flip side of things of like what Star Ocean 3 that took like what 80 plus hours to beat minimum.
Star Ocean 3 is a badly designed RPG. For the
bro,
PS.
I called you up. I was like, yo, I got 5 hours in. I can't do it. I was like, I can't do this game, bro. I'm 5 hours in and I'm bored out of my mind.
You know what game that was for me?
What?
White Knight Chronicles.
Ooh.
And also that game ran like trash on the PS3 too. So that was a super chore to play through.
Yep.
I didn't play the same thing with Valkyria Chronicles. Like I liked that game after I got it on Steam, but that OG PS3 version didn't run great.
Even the new Valkyrie Elysium or whatever it was called. It was, to me, it was a wait for a sale game.
I gotta be real with you, man. Give me a short game that's amazing over a long ass game that I'm just bored in.
I mean, yeah.
Like, that's cool. I'm getting 80 plus hours, 100 hours of content out of it.
But I mean, you're also not complaining about how many hours you put in the Elden Ring either. And that's a long game. That's amazing.
True. I mean, it could be a short game too if you know how to play it.
But in order for it to be a short game, you have to have gotten good, which means you put them hours in anyway.
Yeah. For me, that became a 100-hour game.
Easily.
For some people who play Elden Ring, that was like a 3-hour game, maybe at max.
Yeah. Goji said that the flip side is that as an adult, we have way less time, not only to play, but to complete games. And the amount of games coming out makes it hard to sink 35 plus hours into a single game at a time.
Yeah, if I had kids, that
Gotta do release
35
every
plus
week.
hour
Last year, for example, how many high quality AAA long games came out?
And yet people have the nerve to fix their mouths to say that gaming is bad right now. I don't think so.
They still do that. I'm like, bro, I've got so many games that I ain't played yet that I have access to that I need
That you want to play.
I still
Like
got
there's a whole
Jedi
library of
Survivor.
things I want to play. Like, you know, if it wasn't for my hand being messed up, I'd play a lot more video games. It is what it is. But ever since, you know, my own issues, like I just go into card games and anime.
Damn. So you're not hunting then?
Oh no, we hunting.
No,
Oh,
he's
okay.
We
resting.
hunting.
He's resting.
Yeah, I'm recovering because I'm ready to put another 900 hours in the Monster Hunter. We getting ready.
Playing a bionic hand or
At
something.
least until I retire. Like I will ice it up and I'll just keep it up. You see me with ice wrapped on the back of my hand or something. We hunting.
They do got gloves for that.
For trigger finger?
Oh wait, yeah, it's your finger. My bad.
See, I have picked up a new addiction this week, and that is trading card shop.
Yes. I keep
Yeah.
telling this hater down below to like play it. And he's like, no. I'm like, dude.
I was playing it in between.
It's like $12.
It's $12. I'll gift it to you.
Please, dude,
I
please play the play. God damn.
You're not helping, time. You're not helping.
They're gonna put a playable TCG in the game.
You don't understand, man. All right, so like I know I'm side railing this whole conversation here, but you gotta understand, right?
Actually,
so
you're
I'm
not
sitting
side
there-
railing this whole conversation. We actually are talking about upcoming games next, so we're transitioning into that now.
Well, you don't understand. All right, so here I am. I'm having Vegeta hand me my ass in Dragon Ball last night. Like he was just
Giant Monkey Vegeta.
He took me to Suplex City. All right,
Giant Monkey
Giant
Vegeta,
Monkey
right?
Vegeta. Yeah, he was taking my ass to Suplex City.
Vegeta Lesnar.
Oh my freaking god, Vegeta Lesnar is absolutely right.
And do
I'm
not
sitting
melee
there.
that character. Please do not.
Oh, I did. I was whooping his ass too. He was getting his hands.
And then he goes
Oh.
like this.
Yeah, that was basically it. Yes. So you know, I'm sitting there getting my ass handed to me at least a dozen times, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I quit. I go and I start playing trading card game shop for a little bit, and before I know it, I'm like 2 hours goes by. I'm like, what the hell? What? All right, you know, I'm putting it down. I'm gonna go back to Sparking Zero. I go to that for a little bit, and then Frieza started handing me my ass for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then again, I lose another 2 hours. To
definitely
trading
doesn't
card
move,
shop.
but he looks at you. He goes, "Die," and then
Yeah.
shoots you with a whole.
Man. That shit gets
And
you
it
every
takes
single
like
time.
2 health bars, and I'm like, "Bruh."
So I finally beat Frieza,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, I'm done for the night. I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's like 11 o'clock, getting close to midnight. I'm getting ready to go to bed. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play a little more trading card game shop, just to TCG shop. I'm gonna play that a little bit just to kind of unwind before I go to bed. And the next thing I know, it's almost like 2:30, and I gotta be up for work, and I am just so confused as to where the time went. But gosh darn it, listen. You don't understand. I had a hustle. I had an amazing pool last night. I got a card worth almost $600.
Hey yo,
Bro, my luck is so ass.
You play?
My luck is trash in that.
I don't have it.
You
Yet.
play it?
I think Hustle had it first, and then Time got it.
Or we got it. I got it, but then like I was talking, I was like, oh man, you gotta play this. It's like, oh, I already got it. I was like, oh, okay, well, shit.
I don't want to do it.
You go and do it.
Oh man, it is so good. You have to like you have to buy the different sets. You have to stock your shelves up with it, and then you gotta like, and then you have to pull cards, and then you can sell the individual cards at your shop, and then you can set up gaming tables and events and stuff. And it's man.
Bro, I hired somebody and fired him.
If y'all want to get into TCGs, I got you. There's a new game out.
I fired him after like 10 minutes. I was like, all right, yeah, done.
I got that cardboard crack right here, bro. I got the bleach cards right here, bro.
I get that digital cardboard crack.
Yeah, bro.
There's gonna be a sim for it, but no, for real. Like if we actually do move into cardboard and like cards, like actual cards, then I know an audience that we definitely can expand into. So
listen,
that's something that is on my list of goals in order to accomplish. Like, I just need one of y'all. Just one of y'all. Come on over.
Even V bought it. I got V hooked on the game.
I'm not gonna do it. How much is it?
$12.99.
Nah, I'm not gonna do it.
$12.99 on work.
I'm not gonna do it.
It is sitting at overwhelmingly positive right now on Steam.
I'm not gonna do it.
Honestly, it probably is better to do it now before they kind of do a stealth thing. Nah, it was always like $19.99.
Yeah, let's do it now.
I'm not gonna do it.
It's a nice little barrier entry.
I'm not gonna do it.
Sitting at 19 hours on it, like, bro.
I'm not gonna do it.
Listen,
I'm not gonna do it. I put like 6 hours in the Frostpunk the other day. I'm not gonna do it. Sparking Zero, I just spent over $100 on that one game. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
I can't do it.
You can do it.
Y'all are killing me here. I got them.
It's calming. You can actually use the number pad if you need to type in.
I don't have one of those
for credit cards. Where you take them, putting in a playable TCG in it. You get the rip packs, get rares.
I don't
feed your little addiction.
I don't have an addiction.
We just said you have a gambling addiction last week.
No, that was 2 weeks ago. And
okay, 2 weeks.
Y'all
whatever.
Said it. I didn't.
What did you do?
I don't.
You don't?
I guarantee you I don't.
You can stop buying cards anytime you want.
Yeah. Sure. When's the last time you bought some cards?
I'm not gonna. What?
When was the last time you bought some cards?
I literally just told you about a game that's just coming out.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a problem. He has a solution to all of his other problems.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to
problem I have, I'm trying to solve it
digitally to his problems. That he doesn't have to.
That's not a solution. That's feeding something that doesn't exist.
It's not feeding. Oh, so you admit that there is something there?
I said that's feeding something that doesn't exist. That was literally my sentence.
All I'm saying is,
not gonna do it.
Why? Why not?
Because then I'd have a gambling problem. Duh.
How? Wait, what? Wait, what? wait a minute. Hold on. You said then you'd have a gambling problem?
Maybe, yeah. Because if I'm doing it to rip packs, first of all, I do know quite a bit of people who are literally into TCGs just to rip packs. Like, that's a thing. Oh, I just want to rip packs. I don't care what I rip. First of all, I might rip packs, but that's like I might buy a box from my store just to keep them, getting product, just like everybody else does. I'll get one box. Beyond that, I buy my singles to build my stuff so that I'm not ripping packs. I don't like the gamble aspect of it because ripping packs makes me feel as though
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You being serious right now?
absolutely.
You pulling my leg, bro.
I'm dead serious.
Are you joshing me, man?
I told you I'm a competitive player. I just played in my first regional this past weekend.
I bought a box
I buy a
to
box.
support the store.
Correct.
He's right. That is actually a pretty not uncommon thing if you can afford it. Like,
I'm
You
not
have to
saying
understand
it's
The
not
store
hard.
does not sell the product. And if the store doesn't have people to come, they stop hosting the game.
yes,
Is this
he's
game
And if they stop
crazy?
hosting the game, I stop having a place to play.
yeah. So you have to understand, right? Like, what he's basically trying to tell you here is the reason he does this is because of the fact, like, number one, like this card game is already kind of pretty niche, probably, right? Like, it's probably not a huge community that plays it. I'm sure it's
Well,
big,
the new card game, yes.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Like without me helping to promote, everybody
used
would
to
just
see it
write it
all-
off.
we used to see it all the time. We worked at Game Crazy. Like Eric and I would have like random Japanese fighting games or like RPGs that were a little niche that a GameStop might carry a few copies of, but like Game Crazy wouldn't get any unless people pre-ordered it, and we'd only get like 1 or 2 copies of the game in. But like there were other areas that, because of the fact they had gotten pre-orders, they would have more copies allocated to them. Like, these businesses make decisions based off what the interest level in the business is. So Tones
Because-
going and buying a box shows a high level of interest that there's going to be I apologize for the phrase here, but I'm lacking one on the fly here. But there's a potential whale who would support the game in the area.
Well,
I'm
and then
just
on top
saying.
of that, he literally gets allocations based upon what he moves.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's literally the truth.
I'm
And
just
then, like
saying,
I
it
said,
sounds
after
like-
my box, I go and I buy singles.
I'm just saying,
Like-
it sounds like to me someone saying, yo, if I don't buy drugs, this drug dealer is not gonna sell those drugs. That's all I'm saying.
But let's be real. If your drug dealer can't move his drugs, he's not going to sell them, right?
That's right. You gotta
If your store has,
Hey, guys,
Alright.
even if your grocery store has a food that's not moving, it's not selling. You're not going to order it anymore. It's basic
yeah, you're
commerce.
I think in this case, I hear what you're saying and why you're giggling, but like I think the difference is here is like Tones is trying to be an actual professional, like trading card game player. It seems like trying to become a judge for various different card games, trying to go play regional tournaments.
I did. I placed 227
and-
out of 1024.
Yeah, and there's a good probability at some point in time he winds up running a trading card version of the show at some point. So I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be investing in these things. I know it sounds like making excuses for an addiction, but I think that I personally think that it makes a ton of sense, especially because he does turn this into content in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, I think it could be both.
And I know that the content market there is wide. I know that there are channels that have just started that are just boom, just because of what they put out. So like I said, I thought it would be a good thing, and like I said, I can't get my enjoyment out of video games as much anymore right now because again, trigger finger. The fact that
I mean,
my
you can
hand.
literally do this with one hand if you want.
What?
You can literally play that with one hand if you wanted. Well,
What?
technically,
Trading
no,
card
you just have
game
to
shop
hit the
thingy.
space bar.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the type of games that I used to play. Like the Maddens and the soccer and all that stuff. Like we all know, I play a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
I like the mental challenge that comes with sitting across from a person and being able to bluff or figuring out strategies on how to defeat what it is that you're putting in front of me or figuring out what you're playing. It's like playing chess. Ande, we did not actually talk about Sparking Zero review. That's coming up in probably a couple of minutes. We only have about a half an hour left. So let me just ask this question. So, since we've been on the topic of games and the games that have come out that have gotten us excited over the course of this year, what games can do to improve, what games need in order to kind of make it better that have already launched. So we all know that the Tokyo Game Show has recently come and gone. And in addition to the Tokyo Game Show, we got tons of reveals. We got tons of things that we just have upcoming, and our expectations are pretty much raised high for 2025. Now, with all of that information, we could kind of say 2024 has been a relatively slow year for games in comparison to like all of the bangers that we've gotten hit with in 2023. But I don't know if I would say that it's been a slow year for games, because there have been things that have been put out. There have been some notable games that have seen quite a bit of success. So let me just ask, while we're here, are there any notable things that you have played this year that you think others should play if they haven't so far?
This year, that's a lot.
This year it's hard to say because a lot of like the niche games I'm waiting on don't come out to the last quarter this year, like Stalker 2, EC10, that new Ninja Turtles roguelike game.
Isn't Stalker delayed?
Did it get delayed? I thought it was still coming out next month. Let's see.
Wait, what game?
Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl.
I haven't followed that.
I just read an article about
it. Was supposed to be out. It's coming out November 20th now.
Okay, so the November 20th is the delay. Got it.
Yeah, but like EC10, there's the new Ninja Turtles beat 'em up game coming out. There's a new Mario Luigi coming out. EC10, like I said, Stalker 2.
Zelda Echo of the Wisdom is already selling great.
Yep. Dragon Age, Veilguard comes out.
I definitely want to play Dragon Age.
Like, what else? There's some other stuff coming out. That Funko Fusion like adventure game coming out with like Funko Pops and stuff. I kind of want to get that mainly because they're gonna have Mega Man in it, but you know, because I can't get Mega Man nowhere else. But sorry, soft spot. But yeah, no, everything I'm waiting for is like later this month. But obviously, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is great. Astrobot's great. I still haven't got a chance to play Dragon's Dogma 2 yet. Gotta get that. I gotta get Sparking Zero Friday. Metaphor ReFantazio comes out. Like, there's a lot of stuff now in this fall time coming out that I was looking for.
Welcome to fourth quarter.
Right?
There's a lot of stuff that's come out this year. I'm like looking at the list. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of really good stuff that came out.
This is exactly what I'm saying. Even though we our mind bypasses, like we know that games came out, but our mind bypasses what came out this year versus something like last year. And again, last year you have things like Spider-Man 2 and Armored Core and Baldur's Gate. So like you're comparing, like we can't really compare, but like some bangers have come out this year.
Hey, Wukong was fantastic. Like on this in the chat.
Wukong Rebirth. As much as I said, it's a long game. Dragon's Dogma 2, Power World. What else? Dude, I'm forgetting stuff. Oh, WWE 2K24. If you're a wrestling fan, it's another one.
FC 25, college football 2024.
Oh, yeah, that's another game that came out that's actually really good.
Yeah,
people have been anticipating a college football for what, 15 years now?
Had the new WoW expansion. You had the
Diablo expansion
drop. Like the crazy Doom and Doom 2 like remaster pack with all the multiplayer and stuff like that. They kind of just stealth dropped that in nowhere.
I did not know about that.
If you had Doom 1 or 2 on Steam, it should have already like been upgraded to that version.
So, Time, what do you think of Sparking Zero? I've never played the Tenkaichi games, so this is literally my first Tenkaichi style game. I've played Budokai, and the older Dragon Ball games that never got into the Tenkaichi. So what do you think of Sparking Zero so far?
Oh man, it's been so long since I've played something like this. It's been honestly a huge challenge, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm so used to playing like Street Fighter style fighters that getting back to these kinds of roots took a little bit of a challenge. Like I felt so bad about myself last night getting handled by Vegeta until today when I saw that wasn't a just me thing. But I think it's a really good game overall. The combat's a lot of fun. It isn't smooth at first, but it feels like I'm playing through a Dragon Ball episode. I really enjoyed the overall presentation. Like the art style is flawless. The fact that you really don't load at all is just amazing. It's been overall like way more fun than I had hoped, and I was expecting a lot. So I'm enjoying myself. What about you?
Loon, stop giving it away. Stop giving it away. Stop giving it away. Anyway, I agree. I actually like the art. I love the art style. The combat mechanics are actually really, really good. They're in depth, but they're simple enough. They're probably not simple enough if you don't know what you're doing, or if you can't figure out what you're doing to get through the first few fights, like the Vegeta fight when he was a monkey, or the Frieza fight that we were referring to earlier. I don't know how I feel about the story style yet, because like you get a fight and then it's kind of doing the narration is a tad bit different, because you go through panels and scenes, and there are some cut scenes or whatever, but you focus on one specific character, so you're missing various parts of the story because you're only playing what this character was there for, or you're only getting the story from what that character was present for. Now, I will say that I do like the fact that they did that. So it's a duality here, because I don't like that because of, not getting the complete story in one. I do like it because now they have one story. Then you go to another character and you want to play this other character to experience the story from their point of view. So then you'll play what they were present for. So it's like, instead of telling the whole story of Dragon Ball from Z to Super, you're literally experiencing Goku. And then you can experience Gohan and Vegeta's side. So, and then of course, what would a game be without what if scenarios where you can kind of branch the story off and do things a tad bit different? Which I did not. But yeah, what would it be like? A game wouldn't be a game if you couldn't make those kinds of choices. So I really appreciate things like that. So overall, I'm enjoying my experience with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I've done, like I said, all of the training, like literally every single training lesson, and I've gotten into the Goku saga up until like androids. So I haven't dug in too far. Did about 4 hours or so yesterday, but that's a lot for me. So
How many times did you get clapped by Vegeta?
Maybe 5 or 6.
Not that bad. Going by what I see on Twitter, people are struggling.
Yeah, they get
it was. Let me be clear. I would not stop, and I would not lower the difficulty. I refused. And then after Vegeta, I went back to the training. I was like, all right, I need more lessons. Let me, because I was like, apparently at this point, I don't know how to play the game, because I was just getting my ass.
It made him rethink his skill.
No, that's a real thing.
Rethink. I clearly did not know how to play the game.
Yo, ironically, the funny thing is that's how DBZ Kakarot is, because I swear to God, Raditz is the hardest boss fight in that game compared to all the other bosses, because you don't have anything in the game. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have any skills yet. You don't got any items. But like as soon as it starts flowing, you get to play at Namek and everything like that. It's like, okay, I got you now.
And make sure you go to the shop and buy the little capsules. They help.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on for me last night too. Like where it was just like, all right, I finished that. Time to go training.
Yeah.
And then
So
I found the capsules and got real mad.
I mean, let me be clear. I did Vegeta with no capsules.
Oh,
None.
same. I didn't get my capsules until after I did Frieza last night.
And on top of that, I will not go below 50,000 or 500,000 or whatever it is that you start with because you got the deluxe or ultimate edition or whatever. So I don't want to use the free money that he gave me now. Like I'm only going to do it with what I earn from the fights that I actually play. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's enjoyable. It's something that I can see myself playing for quite a while. And then on top of that, you then move into the multiplayer aspect. So like I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to the more. You know, we had a member of the show who was supposed to come, and you know, Mister was talking king cat shit about how he was going to beat all our asses in Sparking Zero. But
I believe it when he fights us.
he hasn't been here. Like at this point, I can tell you that he's not going to win, and you know, he's never going to fight us, and you know, he can't say anything about it because he's not here to defend himself. But
Yeah,
I'm
Blicky,
also,
which flavor of Brolo do you want? Do you want the super version? Or do you want the regular version? Because
Hey, wait. I thought he shifted his schedule around. I was going to be here.
He says a lot of things. It's just a matter of which ones end up being accurate.
I just want to know what flavor of ass whooping does he want? Does he want the super version or the Z version?
does he want like barbecue or ranch? At this point, like again, I don't have the like he got it. He got.
Do you
the
want the
game on
baby
PC.
version?
He got the game on PC because you know
You know.
he wanted to play it with mods. He wanted to play it with Thomas the Tank Engine, and
What?
he said it was easier to stream on PC than it was from the PS5, even though PS5 streaming is just a button. But you know, that's neither here nor there.
Buttons be hard sometimes.
It's neither here nor there.
Or you get a capture card.
So V-toned number one, I also want to thank you because without your contributions, our pages, our social medias would not be where they are today. So what I would like to do, today is Tuesday, and Sparking Zero came out last night at 6 p.m. for those who got the ultimate. So I want to say possibly Saturday, we are going to put a question of the day on our social medias. And that question of the day is literally the one that Loon just asked, which is who are you maining in Sparking Zero? And what platform are you on? So we can do a question of the day tomorrow and ask what platform you plan on getting Sparking Zero on. Make sure to follow our Instagram, TikTok, all of our social medias. We have it all, not just YouTube. So I believe we also have a Twitter, and you know, we'll definitely read all of the responses. We'll vote ourselves. So yeah, let's see what kind of collection of characters we got here. You know, so I'm excited. I think that 2024 has been a good year for gaming, and I'm actually, like I said, we're here to celebrate today. We're here to celebrate. I'm feeling good about Sparking Zero. I'm feeling good about games in general. So Dragon Ball Super on Vegeta and pre-ordered on PS5. Goji Senpai, you got to make sure you add me. Make sure you add me. Not the fact that I want to fight against you or anything, but like, you know, I don't think I have you as a friend on PS5 at this point. So, you know, it would be cool to be able to play games with you.
It's either gonna be Broly or Trunks for me.
Tapian. Nice.
Tapion means rise up.
Nice. Grim the God.
I have no
Loon
idea who
is
I'm going to
probably
play.
gonna add you too, because you know he said, "Come catch these hands." So Loon just wants to distribute hands to everybody. I'm cool with teaming up with my friends. I just want to play games with my friends, you know.
Yeah.
But, okay. Little spot of small news. 343 Studios has changed their name to Halo Studios, and now they are moving Halo into Unreal Engine 5 for the future of Halo. So hopefully we will see some great things coming from the Halo dev. And, you know, let's here's to the future of Halo and hoping that everything is going to be great from here forward. Additionally, we have a alleged operator of modded hardware who is now in a lawsuit with Nintendo as well. Feels like Nintendo is quite tied up in litigation. But this operator of modded hardware has decided that he's going to battle Nintendo without a lawyer.
Good luck.
I mean, this week I've seen someone defending themselves in their own murder trial. So
Did he beat
without
the
a
trial?
lawyer,
Did he beat
huh?
the trial? Did
Oh,
he
I don't know. It's still ongoing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Who?
he's probably gonna fail that.
There's a person who is defending himself on in his own murder trial.
I'm sure that's going great.
I actually don't think it's negative right now. I don't really know. From what I saw, he was doing a pretty decent job.
Wait, so was the guy selling modded hardware, or he just modded and it was just like, hey, here's my modded DS or whatever, and they made a YouTube video, and Nintendo's like, you can't do that.
No, that's not how it went. I believe that he was actually selling modded hardware, but I don't really have all of the facts at this point, so I can try to get the facts a little bit.
Yeah, I want to see more on that because that is I want to know how. First off, like,
oh look, Halo Infinite is getting a third person mode. Did we ever want a third person Halo?
Halo was supposed to be in third person originally.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and it wasn't for a reason.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask, but I don't know if I want to know the answer.
Oh no, I don't actually know any answers. I'm just I'm
okay.
being
No, it legitimately was supposed to be third person. It was all right. So Halo was originally supposed to be third person. It was supposed to be an Apple exclusive game. It was never supposed to come out on console. It was supposed to be strictly for the Mac.
Okay.
Game. And then somewhere along the lines, Bungie got scooped up by Microsoft, and that got scrapped, and then it became a first-person shooter.
I see.
I actually remember seeing the original preview videos of Halo and it being third person before it was announced to come out on the Xbox. Back when we had ZDTV.
ZDTV. Oh man, take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so
I just want the gameplay to not be like Call of Duty in Halo. That's all I'm asking.
What do you mean?
Halo Infinite's gameplay is.
You mean Halo Sends Reach?
Yeah.
Okay, I have the info for you. So, basically, Nintendo is suing the alleged owner of the website Modded Hardware, and he's accused of aiding and contributing to the piracy of Nintendo Switch games by selling mod chips and modded consoles. The person who is in the midst of this lawsuit from Nintendo is actually denying these claims and has just represented himself in court without a lawyer.
Is he insane?
I don't know. And then there's one more thing that I want to just kind of tell all of you guys before we go, and that's the fact that we started this conversation with controllers. The reason that we started this conversation with controllers is because while I was doing my reading this week, I actually came across an article that had me thinking that it was kind of unreal, kind of a lot of unbelievable. So, all right. All right, basically, here's what it was. The information that I came across was that recently a surgeon completed a delicate procedure using a PlayStation Move controller.
A Move controller?
A Move controller, like a PlayStation Move controller, like the one with the bulbous ball on top of it.
I believe that entirely.
Yeah, like this is like this is going to be like a lighter story than like people using a PC controller to go deep sea diving. By the way,
I was about to say, I was gonna make the joke of like, not all controllers are good for everything, as we learned last year.
right. This is a
Yeah.
lighter story. This is not where we're going with that again. So a surgeon in Switzerland has officially completed an endoscopic procedure using a PlayStation Move controller on a pig in Hong Kong, over 5,000 miles away from the endoscopy was actually performed using a robotic surgical system that was controlled remotely via WebSocket protocol for real-time data transfer. So they basically, had very, very little lag. And basically, in layman's terms, that means that the robot responded almost instantly to whatever it was that he was doing. For those who may not be completely up to date with why that's important or relevant. So, basically, as the doctor watched the video feed, he used the PlayStation controller to control the robot's actions. So I could imagine that, as he's guiding this camera through the track, he's using the Move controller, how I'm moving my hand right now. And, obviously, since you don't have to use a joystick and control it with these fine movement, having a Move controller and it could help you with precision. So
No, but even then, the regular controllers have been proven to increase surgeon dexterity.
absolutely,
Like I remember reading an article on that, like at least over 10, maybe like 15 years ago.
absolutely. I
Back,
think
back
that
somewhere around the PS3 eras when they were
Yeah.
talking about that.
yeah.
So yeah, I believe it.
So now this isn't the first attempt to use the controller to complete
No.
surgery, as Hustle just said. But there were actually reports that previously the surgeon attempted to use a PS5 controller to do this. Pardon me. But there's no report on if it was successful or if it was a fail or anything like that. But right now, we know that he has successfully done this with a Move controller, which is kind of wild to me. So now the question is, like, with all of these updates in technology, at this point, could we be moving into an era where like we are using these controllers for new things besides what they were meant for?
Yeah,
Like-
it's honestly like a smart idea if these companies start doing more R&D, because honestly, that's just like from because my mom's been in medical device sales and development and stuff like that. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like, that's a lot of money that they could potentially get as a revenue stream for that. For
So
something
do you think Sony could get into producing medical hardware and equipment? Like,
easily?
I think Microsoft's ahead of them on that probably. But yeah, I think there's more for that. Like, look at the Microsoft Adaptive Controller and those situations. Those are being designed specifically for people with disabilities, and I would not be
I mean,
surprised.
Sony has one too now at this point.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if like their different R&D teams are already actively working with different specializations to do these kinds of things. Like, yeah, I absolutely believe with certainty that as time goes on, controllers are going to be used for different things. Like, think about the precise articulation that is needed for some of the movements that are done in video games, right? Like the real subtle precision of like just creeping a thumbstick forward, like how sensitive that is. Like, yeah, I can see how that would make sense for medical devices.
In Goji, you're right. But the PS3 is nasty to make a supercomputer because whatever Sony put in that cell processor was just so ahead of like
It was
Right.
way ahead
like
of its time.
computational malleability to stuff. It just made it.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
that.
Did that became like a thing that was in the news that people were worried that was like a threat to national security because of that too.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember, it's like it's a fucking control.
Mind you, like the PlayStation 3 and its processors, it cost a lot of money and it didn't sell as much as the other PlayStation systems, but I really feel like they kind of really jumped ahead. Like,
Yeah, they did.
at this point, like just apples to apples comparison, I think the PS3 was a more powerful system than what the PS5 is. Like, and when I say apples to apples, I mean for their time period.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
$599.
$599. Wasn't the
Yeah.
PS3 $600 and $800? So the
No, it's
$599,
$599.
Yeah.
get $599 for the low model and $799 for the high one.
No,
No, it was 600 for the high, and then 450 or 5 for the 20 gig or whatever
Yeah.
it was. It was the 20 gig and the 60 gig when they dropped.
Correct.
Yeah, the 60 gig was 600.
How much was the 20?
450 or 500 or something like that. I
Yeah,
think it was
it
500.
It was high.
I remember
Either
he
way.
got that shit. And that's why I decided to get a 360. So I was like, that is way too expensive for me. I'm just gonna get an Xbox.
I waited until there was a 40 gig and an 80 gig, and then I got rid of my PS2. All the games and stuff, even though I hate trading in games and I hate trading in consoles, but I was just like, you know what? Going for it.
Especially now when you see what some of that stuff is worth. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I
What do you
collect
think about
I
that?
collect older stuff, which is why I don't necessarily throw away like my old systems. Like I still got my Sega Genesis, and I still got like an NES or two, and like some of the work that I put into my old consoles, like I've literally had to Frankenstein to make them work, things like that, because they've run into various failures. Except for Dreamcast, that's Dreamcast and N64. The Dreamcast burned out, and N64 fried itself while it wasn't in my possession. So
Well, that and it's
Yeah.
also preservation.
Just a quick fun article I read about the supercomputer PS3 because the Air Force did it too. They had 1760 PS3s to make a supercomputer, and then they said it still only costs 5 to 10% of what we did with equivalent hardware that we would
That's crazy.
normally use for stuff. So they save millions
Tons
of
of
dollars.
Billions of dollars.
Using PS3s.
Yep.
I
So
need to see a picture of that, man.
the next question is there a future where the dexterity we gain from video games could actually become apparent in other fields of work, if not already? Like, do you think we could train surgeons using video games?
Yeah, I think they already are.
Like not using like consoles but like actually like using video games to train surgeons.
Yeah, they are doing that already.
Oh, like Surgeon Simulator?
Oh my god, that game is so hard.
Is there a
Nah,
Surgeon Simulator?
There's Surge Simulator, and they've had a couple expansions. Nah, I think video
That's
games.
crazy.
I think video games can be used for certain things. Like the only reason that my pattern recognition is good for where I work now is because playing video games so damn long and just knowing when to look out for stuff on the screen. We're like, wait a minute, or just like getting like a weird feeling like this don't seem right, and that's because I got PTSD from playing video games. Like,
I mean, that makes sense.
They're
So-
already doing stuff like that. I'm looking at an article right now from 2020 at UCLA Medical Center where they're basically using like essentially a video game to help train their surgeons.
You know what? If college was a video game, I'd probably get through it easier.
oh,
Especially now
I would have a
because-
PhD if college was a video game.
So what they do is they use a VR headset to train their surgeons, which makes absolutely perfect fucking sense when you think
Yeah.
about it. So you have the tools there. It's the
But
same
are
thing.
you using your hands in the same way that you would be using the tools? Are the tools of similar weight? Or
Let me look at
you know what I mean? Because surgeries can go
Yeah, no, it looks like it.
10,
Yeah,
20 hours.
the way he's using the controller is exactly what how he would use a tool
Okay.
to do that. Also, VR gives surgeons on-demand information via a virtual reality headset and tools to properly assess how to best handle surgery. That is actually really cool.
See, that's what I mean when I say that I wanted to bring light to certain games. Like, so ladies and gentlemen, when you have kids and you think that your kids are wasting their time playing games all day, at this point, that's not the case anymore. Like, there's no way that video games are not actually helping people to become productive in society. Back in the day, back in the 90s and things of that nature. That's all our parents told us is that, oh, you're wasting your time, you don't do anything, blah blah blah. But there are a lot of people who were gamers then, gamers now, who move forward to see great successes. So if your kids are interested in gaming at all, in any aspect, any respect, um, encourage them because you never know what that could lead to. Like that could lead to them becoming a famous streamer. That could lead to them becoming, a member of an esports team, participating in the esports Olympics. I tell people, if you want to play a video game, if you feel like your kid is let them get good. Encourage them to get good because it could make them a lot of money. At this point, now we know that it could train them for their future profession. They could be the next surgeon. They could become a doctor simply off of playing video games because they have increased hand-eye coordination as well as dexterity as well as problem-solving skills that come from playing video games, figuring out puzzles, diagnosis, things of that nature. So I know that I'm giving lectures and speeches at this point, but these are just things to consider. Like we consider these as gamers, but those who are not gamers, those who might just come across this by mistake, consider it. Just consider it. Let people do what it is that they want to do, what makes them happy, and encourage them. Because sometimes the things that brings you joy will also bring you success. Time. You look like you had something you wanted to say.
No, I was just smiling at what you said. That's all. Jeez,
I
I'm
mean, it's
sorry.
the truth.
God,
Like
I apologize, Tones, for smiling, showing a little
there is
happiness.
zero reason to apologize. I just it looked like you had something to follow up with. And I mean, to be honest with you, you're one of the people that I admire. You've taken something that you've enjoyed and you've turned it into your own form of success.
Wow.
I appreciate that. I'm really, I don't feel like I'm worth admiring. I'm just, I just wanted to work on something that felt like, even if it was corporate at the end of the day, was something that I enjoyed doing, and it's all I'm trying to do.
I'm gonna be honest with you here. I actually admire anybody who had the courage to press the start button.
But
I'm done. I'm gonna go eat dinner. Forget this.
he turned off his camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, join our Discord. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure. We are 1000% happy to be here again. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for just being subscribers, watching us, sticking with us for not only just
He doesn't feed us
all
if we
of
don't
this
show up.
time, but all of this time. You know what I mean? In both aspects. For the 1 year that we've been doing this, a year and a month or whatever that we've been doing this, as well as the 2 hours that we put on every Tuesday that we possibly can. So, again, we appreciate you. And we look forward to more time to come. So again, with that, we're gonna exit, but I just want to say if there's ever anything that you want to do, sometimes all you gotta do is just press the start button. Enjoy.
Peace.
Later, y'all.